Good afternoon. Welcome to today's Lunch with Mia event, Tips for Shopping for Auto Insurance. My name is Gia Wilkerson, and I'll be the moderator for this afternoon's event. Auto insurance rates are rising in Maryland, and it's important for the Maryland Insurance Administration to educate Marylanders about how to shop for auto insurance, as well as helping them understand the laws pertaining to auto insurance in Maryland and their auto insurance coverage options. Today, we are joined by two of my colleagues from the Consumer Education and Advocacy Units, Community and Outreach and Education, and the Rapid Response Team. Next, before we get started, just a few housekeeping rules. This event is being recorded. Please leave phones and computers on mute for this event. If you are not presenting, please keep your camera off. If you have questions for today's speakers, please use the chat box and make sure your questions are sent to everyone and not just the speaker or host, as we will have the Q&A session at the end. And for now, our first presenter, we have Ms. Robin Lumbell.
Hi, thank you, Gia. So I'm here today to talk about tips for what you should know about shopping for auto insurance. Next slide, please. So first of all, what is the Maryland Insurance Administration? The Maryland Insurance Administration is the state agency that regulates insurance in Maryland. So at the MIA, we license insurers and insurance producers, agents or brokers, examines the business practice of licensees to ensure compliance, monitors solvency of insurers, reviews and approves insurance policy forms, reviews insurance rates to ensure rates are not inadequate, excessive, or unfairly discriminatory, and investigates consumer and provider complaints and allegations of fraud. Next slide, please. Auto insurance coverage may include several types of protection options. However, Maryland state law requires all registered vehicle owners to purchase certain minimum protections and coverage levels. Next slide, please. Mandatory coverages and their limits. So Maryland law requires all registered vehicle owners to carry a minimum amount of liability coverage. The coverage currently required by law is $30,000 for bodily injury per person, $60,000 bodily injury per accident, and $15,000 in property damage. Next slide, please. So mandatory coverage and their limits. So what is auto liability insurance? Liability insurance protects policyholders and other insureds when the policyholder or a legal driver they have allowed to drive their vehicle causes an accident. And there are two types of liability coverage. Next slide, please. Thank you, sorry. Mandatory coverages and their limits. So liability insurance protects policyholders and other insureds when they cause an accident. And there are two types of liability coverage. Excuse me. Bodily injury liability coverage protects you if the driver of your car causes an accident and an injured person makes a claim or files a lawsuit against you, unless the driver of your car is excluded or does not have a reasonable belief they are entitled to drive your vehicle. Property damage liability protects you if the driver of your car causes an accident resulting in damage to someone else's property, like another vehicle or other property such as a fence, unless the driver of your car, again, is excluded or does not have a reasonable belief they are entitled to drive your vehicle. Mandatory coverages and their limits. So uninsured motorist coverage. This protects you and other insureds under your policy's terms when an accident is caused by a driver who does not have auto insurance coverage, does not have enough liability insurance, or when the owner of the at-fault vehicle cannot be identified, such as the case in a hit and run. Maryland law, again, requires all registered vehicle owners to carry a minimum amount of uninsured motorists, and the coverage required by Maryland law now is $30,000 for bodily injury per person, $60,000 bodily injury per accident, and $15,000 in property damage. So then you have some optional coverage. So collision coverage is an optional coverage that you purchase to provide for payment of property damage to your insured vehicle from a collision with another vehicle or object. If you are in an accident and have collision coverage, your insurer will pay to repair your vehicle or will pay you what your vehicle was worth right before the accident occurred if your vehicle is a total loss. Comprehensive coverage pays for damage to your car resulting from causes other than collision, like vandalism, theft, storm damage, or hitting an animal. And you can find a full list of optional coverages here at this link, which is the link to our website. And it's available in our consumer guide to auto insurance. So let's talk a little bit about your declarations page. So a declarations page is an overview of your insurance policy that your insurer will give you every time your policy renews. And it is extremely important to remember that this is not your insurance policy. It's only a summary of the coverages. The declaration page will include the name of the insurer, the name of the policyholders, and the date of the new policy period. And you can see in the slide here, it's numbered on the different information we're going to talk about. So the declarations page will list all the vehicles covered by the policy and what coverages apply to each vehicle. It will also list any lien holders, and it's important to make certain this information is correct for all vehicles insured. It is very important that you review your declarations page as soon as you get it to be sure it is accurate and that you know what your policy will cover. If you see any incorrect or missing information, you should contact your insurance producer or insurer immediately. So how are automobile insurance rates determined? This is a wide variety of criteria considered to help the insurer in predicting the likelihood that you will be in an accident to file a claim, such as age, gender, marital sex, number of miles driven annually, your driving record, your credit history, the purpose that the vehicle is being driven for, such as the vehicle use, if you commute to work to and from daily, if you work remotely, the location of where the vehicle is garaged, your driving experience, and your claims history. So what do automobile insurance rates, why do automobile insurance rates increase? So general rate increase, sometimes the premiums collected by an insurer may not be enough to support the projected costs of the claims. When this occurs, an insurer may file the Maryland Insurance Administration a request for a general rate increase with the MIA, which the MIA must then approve. Policyholders' rate increase is due to if you've received tickets or you're involved in accidents, you may see a rate increase. So what can you do to comparison shop? Comparison shop by looking to see if you can obtain those same coverages for another insurer at a lower cost. So you want to make sure you compare policies that offer the same types of coverage with the same deductibles and coverage limits you currently have. This is what some agents will refer to as an apples to apples quote. Make sure the information you provide is accurate and that you provide the same information to each insurer you call. Ask about deductibles and when they apply. Ask about what is covered and most importantly, what is excluded. Do not buy an insurance policy based solely on its price. Consider the coverages, limits, and the customer service, including claim service before you buy. Ask your friends and neighbors about their experiences with different insurers. Ask your insurer whether there are any discounts that might be available to you, good driver discounts, multi-policy discounts, multi-vehicle discounts, and protective device. Not all insurers offer the same discounts. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm here. Sorry. I'm here. Okay. Sorry about that. So we're going to go into a little bit more about our rate guide. And with that being said, we are going to pass this on. And if there's any questions, you can certainly reach out in the chat and I'll get to them as soon as I can. And I believe Gia is going to take over from here.
Okay. Thank you so much for all of that information, Robin.
My
Next
pleasure.
up, we have my colleague, Miss Patricia Dorn, who's going to walk us through our auto insurance rate guide. Patty, take it away.
All right, thanks, Gia, and thanks for Robin. I'm going to share my screen real quick. So as you got like a brief little view of, we have a paper and PDF rate guide. So for many years, the Maryland Insurance Administration has been publishing a rate guide for auto insurance. And that's to show Marylanders sample auto insurance premiums in their area. So the paper form, you can get a copy of the document by calling us, requesting it. We'll snail mail it out to you. Or if you see us out and about at outreach events, libraries, etc., it's one of our most popular documents. So we usually have this brochure with us. And then you can also, on the website, you can download it as a PDF. So we now have this information available in a more interactive version online. And so I'm going to do a quick demo now to show you, number one, I'm going to show you where the PDF is as well. And then I'm going to show you the interactive version. So to get to the interactive version, you go to our website. This is the main page of our website. That's insurance.maryland.gov. So you come here, and what you're going to do is you're going to click on consumers. And so under consumers, that's where we have the PDF versions of the brochures. We also have bulletins, consumer advisories, all kinds of things that we publish about all kinds of insurance. So this is auto. So I'm going to scroll down. And in this one sort of collection, we put auto, motorcycle, ATV, RV, kind of all in one collection. So you click on that. And then we have a lot of documents about auto insurance, motorcycle, etc. So we have it separated into little different groups here. And this is going to fall under rates. The first one here is the comparison guide to rates. That's the PDF version. And right underneath it is the interactive version that I'm going to show you now. So as has already been said by Robin earlier, we do believe that comparison shopping is the key to getting the most out of your insurance dollars. So we really emphasize giving Marylanders access to that information. Our guide, the auto insurance rate guide, it includes the companies that write the greatest number of automobile insurance policies in Maryland, but there's about 50 companies in there. So there are a lot of companies. I think that some consumers, everyone kind of hesitates. If you haven't heard of this insurer before, and you're going to see that in this rate guide, smaller insurers that don't have a lot of money for the big billboards or the commercials, etc., it's really important to know that they still have to follow the same rules in Maryland as the big guys. They have to answer to us. You can file complaints, with regards to solvency. They have to have money to pay your claims in the future. And so I think that you should have some confidence in, maybe going with somebody or getting a quote from somebody that you haven't even heard from, if you're seeing them in our guide and you're knowing that they're regulated by us. Okay, so what we show in the rate guide are samples. So they're sample insurance rates. And what that means is it's an actual real quote for a sample situation. And the interactive guide helps you find the scenario that most closely resembles your own driving situation. So we have 22 scenarios in the book. You're going to give it a little bit of information and it's going to narrow it down for you. In the paper document, you use the first few pages kind of reviewing the scenarios to find the one that most closely resembles you. But in this interactive document, you're going to input the data and then we're going to tell you which one it is. All right, so to get started, I'm going to use age 23. That's the default here. So I'm going to say 23 female. I'm going to say single. I'm going to say one vehicle and renter. Okay, so for my scenario, 23-year-old drives, has only one vehicle, is a renter, is single. At the bottom here, you see that says scenario number 2. So Based on that, we're saying scenario number 2 closest matches your own driving situation. I'm going to scroll down to the sample auto insurance rates area. So here, I'm going to choose scenario 2. And the default that you see in the background is scenario 22. But I'm going to choose scenario 2. And now, what county do I live in? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose Baltimore County. And then zip code. So the way this works is that for counties with populations less than 500,000, there's just one zip code option. For the more populated counties, we have multiple zip code options. That doesn't mean that you're going to find your zip code necessarily in here. And so what I do recommend is if you have 2 options, to choose the one that might closest resemble your own community. And I'm going to go ahead and choose 21222. And for the insurer part, I'm going to leave that as all, because the purpose is that I'm comparison shopping. So I want to see all the insurers and I want to see all the rates. And so that's what I'm seeing here. So this shows scenario 2 in the first column, the county being Baltimore County, zip code 21222, and then the insurers and their rates for a year. So these are the rates for a year for my driving situation, or approximately my driving situation. And so if you scroll down, you can see there's and this will hopefully give you an idea of where to start with your shopping. If you are curious about the different factors that make up, in this example, scenario 2, you can come up here and we have a quick link to the PDF. If you want to dig into this more and understand your scenario more, you can open up the PDF. And in this case, I would scroll down to the scenarios. In scenario 2, this shows the young single female, age 19, rents an apartment, and then it gets into the specifics. Drives a 2008 Toyota Camry, drives 20 miles each day for work, 15,000 miles annually, and their liability limits are here: full PIP, uninsured motorist, comprehensive, and collision. And so if you want to dig into this a little bit more and understand the scenario and the rates a little bit more, you can go back and you can look at this PDF. I think it's also important to know that in here, all the scenarios include comprehensive and collision coverage. So there aren't any liability only scenarios in this rate guide. So I'm going to go back. All right, so you're looking at your different options and the rates for a year, and maybe you're narrowing it down to 3 or 4 that you're interested in calling. What you can do is you can go down to the bottom of the page, and to find your insurer's contact information, please reference this guide. You can click on this, and this will give you the phone numbers and the websites for all of the insurers that are listed in the guide. So I hope that this was helpful, and I hope it helps you know how to use our interactive rate guide. And I do hope we just rolled it out. Yesterday was the first day that it was live. And so thanks for this opportunity to demo. And I'm going to pass it back to Gia.
Patty, thank you so much. Our next speaker is going to be Miss Mary Jo Rogers. Mary Jo.
Hello, everyone. And again, welcome to our event about shopping for auto insurance. So I'm going to give you and go over 10 tips that should help you when you are shopping for auto insurance. Next slide. First of all, it's important to understand the difference between the coverages. That's liability, collision, and comprehensive insurance. Liability insurance protects the policyholder and other insureds when they cause an accident. There are two types of liability coverage. The first is bodily injury liability coverage. Protects you if the driver of your car causes an accident and an injured person makes a claim or files a lawsuit against you, unless the driver of your car is excluded or does not have a reasonable belief they are entitled to drive your vehicle. The other type of liability insurance is property damage liability. Protects you if the driver of your car causes an accident resulting in damage to someone else's property, like another vehicle or other property, such as a fence, unless, again, if the driver of your car is excluded or does not have a reasonable belief they are entitled to drive your vehicle. Maryland law requires all registered vehicle owners to carry a minimum amount of liability coverage. The coverage required by law is $30,000 for bodily injury per person, $60,000 bodily injury per accident, and $15,000 in property damage coverage. Collision coverage is an optional coverage that you purchase to provide for payment of property damage to your insured vehicle from a collision with another vehicle or object. If you're in an accident and have collision coverage, your insurer will pay to repair your vehicle or will pay you what your vehicle was worth right before the accident occurred if your vehicle is a total loss. Comprehensive coverage pays for damage to your car resulting from causes other than a collision, like vandalism, theft, or storm damage. Next slide. Think carefully about your deductibles. A deductible is the amount you agree to be responsible for in the event of damage to your vehicle. For example, accident, fire, or vandalism. If you select a higher deductible, you will pay more money out of pocket for any damage. However, your insurance premium should be lower. You may want to give some consideration to whether increasing the amount of your deductible would be beneficial for you. For example, if you raise the deductible on your collision insurance from $100 to $500, the amount of your premium should decrease. You must then weigh the benefit of the reduction in premium against the fact that you will have to pay $500 instead of $100 in the event that you are in an accident and make a claim under your collision coverage. Next slide. Think carefully about your coverage limits. State law requires all registered vehicle owners to purchase certain minimum protections or coverage levels. Many drivers purchase more than the minimum requirement to protect themselves from high repair bills, medical expenses, and lawsuits. Consumers who choose to purchase coverage above the state minimum requirements may pay higher premiums. While state law establishes the minimum level of liability coverage, consumers may choose to purchase more coverage. Higher limits of coverage provide more protection against repair expenses, medical expenses, and legal judgments, all of which may be higher than the minimum coverage required by Maryland law. Higher limits can also provide a higher level of protection for your assets in the event you cause an accident that results in significant injuries or damages. Next slide. What about PIP? PIP is personal injury protection. Up to the specified dollar amount of your coverage, PIP coverage will reimburse you or others named on your policy for reasonable and necessary medical expenses resulting from an auto accident as well as lost wages. This reimbursement will be made regardless of who caused the accident. PIP coverage can be denied if claims are not properly and timely filed with your insurer. Therefore, it is important to contact your insurer or insurance producer immediately after an accident has occurred and request PIP forms. Maryland law requires insurers to offer their policyholders at least $2,500 in personal injury protection, PIP coverage. You may elect to purchase limited PIP coverages, and certain individuals may be able to fully reject PIP coverage. Consult your insurance producer or insurer for a thorough explanation of all of your options. Next slide. Understand how your credit affects your auto insurance rate. Under Maryland law, insurers may not use your credit history to decide if they will insure you, cancel you, renew, or increase your premium. However, insurers may use your credit history when you apply for coverage to determine what rate you will be paying for your auto insurance. Now, not all insurers use credit history, and you may obtain auto insurance through insurers that do not use credit. For those insurers that do use credit, they are required to tell you at the time you apply for the insurance that they will consider your credit history. If you ask, an insurer must tell you how much of your premium is as a result of your credit score. Next slide. Comparison shop. Comparison shopping was covered earlier in greater detail, so I'm just going to remind you of a few things. Comparison shopping is the key to getting the most for your insurance dollar. Consumers think nothing of price shopping for televisions, computer tablets, or appliances to save $20 or $30. But they forget to shop around for auto insurance where hundreds of dollars might be saved. There are more than 150 auto insurers or insurance companies licensed in this state that offer policies, so there are plenty of places to shop. Next slide. If you plan to drive with a ride-share company, it is important that you notify your insurer. Ride sharing is the term used to describe when, for a fee, a person drives someone in their automobile. The rides are arranged through an online application which is created by a transportation network company, TNC. Currently, the major TNCs are Lyft, Sidecar, and Uber. Most automobile policies do not provide coverage when a driver accepts payment to drive others. This is different than carpooling. Typically, you will need to purchase a commercial policy to have the appropriate coverages. Some TNCs offer limited coverage. If you do not have coverage, you may personally be responsible for payment for medical expenses for anyone injured and any automobiles that are damaged in an accident that is your fault. I would suggest that you visit our website. Again, that's insurance.maryland.gov. And we have a consumer alert, what drivers need to know about ride sharing. So I'd recommend, if you plan on doing that, please review that consumer alert. Next slide. Consider gap insurance. Gap insurance is an optional coverage that you can purchase from some insurers to protect you in the event your vehicle is totaled and the actual cash value of your vehicle is less than the amount owed on the vehicle. Today's automobiles are expensive, and most consumers finance the purchase of a motor vehicle. However, the value of the motor vehicle will start to decline as soon as you drive it off the lot. As a result, many new and used car buyers find themselves upside down, owing more for the vehicle than the vehicle's actual cash value at the time of the loss. It can be devastating if your vehicle is stolen, not recovered, or is totaled in an accident. The actual cash value is less than the balance owed on the loan. So you'll end up paying for a vehicle you no longer have. Next slide. Understand what you need to know before canceling your auto insurance. Before canceling your auto insurance, you will have to return your tags to the Motor Vehicle Administration, MVA. You can return the tags by mail or by dropping them off at an MVA branch, an MVA provided kiosk, or an MVA authorized tag and title agent. If you cancel your insurance while still in possession of your tags, the MVA may impose a fine for being uninsured of $150 for the first 30 days and $7 a day per vehicle thereafter until you either reinstate your insurance or return the tags. As long as you possess tags, you must carry liability insurance in the amount required by the state minimums. Next slide. Knowing how to file a complaint with the Maryland Insurance Administration. If you feel your insurer has acted improperly, you have the right to take action by filing a complaint with the Maryland Insurance Administration. Complaints must be received in writing. Please provide as much detail as possible, including copies of pertinent documents. A trained professional investigator will handle your complaint. The investigator will contact the insurer or insurance producer to try to resolve the issue. Meanwhile, you will be advised of the steps being taken on your behalf. Complaint files are not closed until the Maryland Insurance Administration has made a determination regarding the complaint. The Maryland Insurance Administration also established a rapid response program designed to help certain consumers resolve property and casualty claims, such as auto and homeowners claims, including those made under a commercial lines policy, quickly and without having to file a formal written complaint. For more information about this program, you can contact us at 410-468-2340 or 800-492-6116 extension 2340. Participation in the Rapid Response Program is voluntary and does not affect your right to file a formal complaint.
Thank you, Mary Jo. Thank you to everyone who attended today's event. The recording for today's event will be available on our website by early next week. This now begins our Q&A portion of the event. So the first question that we have, what happens when a driver has an accident, but they don't feel like they should have been driving the vehicle?
So in that scenario, you'd have to, whenever there's a claim, the burden of proof is on the insured. So you would have to define, you don't feel like they should have been driving the vehicle. It's whether you gave them permission to use the vehicle. The insurance company will take into effect if it's a child of driving age that lives in the household and has access to the keys, or a family member that lives in the household, guests that are staying in the household that do have access to the keys and access to the vehicle. You know, if you have not let the insurance company know that they're staying there, added them to your policy. So that's a question that it really just depends on the scenario. It's not about what you feel if they should be driving the vehicle. It's whether they had access to the vehicle and you let the insurance carrier know in some instances.
Let me expand on that. If it is your policy, and as I spoke about, if it's an excluded operator, or if it is someone that doesn't have a reasonable belief that they are entitled to drive the vehicle, like if the car is stolen, in that case, your insurance company will not pay for, if you call that person is an excluded operator, your insurance company will not pay for your damage to your vehicle, and it will not pay for damage to another person if that excluded operator is at fault. If it's someone that has stolen your car, or what's called non-permissive use, they would not owe. If that non-permissive use driver, it caused an accident, they wouldn't owe someone else. But comprehensive coverage provides coverage for damage or loss of your vehicle if it is stolen. Now, if you are in an accident and the other driver is at fault, if they are an excluded driver or they have stolen the vehicle that they have driven and caused the accident, again, that insurance company will not pay for your damages or injuries. But in that case, it becomes an uninsured motorist claim, and you would go back to your own policy. Does that answer the question?
Does that answer your question? I'll wait to see if there's a response. Do we have any other questions? Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions or response. Again, thank you for everyone that attended today's event. Thank you to my colleagues for your presentations today. We will continue our series on auto insurance throughout this month. Our next Lunch with Me event will take place on Wednesday, July 20th at noon, where we will discuss auto insurance scenarios. You can also find out about more of our events on our website at www.insurance.maryland.gov. Please follow us on social media at Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And you can also find additional information videos such as today's presentation on our YouTube channel. And if you would like to sign up to receive information about future presentations and in-person events, Joyce has placed a link in the chat box. So we'll give it a few more minutes just to see if there are any additional questions or comments. And we will also like to receive feedback on today's presentation so that we can continue to host great events such as these. So if you look in the chat box, we have a link to complete our survey. Okay, so I'm not seeing any other questions or comments. Please check out our website and play around with our interactive auto insurance comparison rate guide. We do suggest that you compare rates at least once a year just to make sure that you're getting the best rate for yourself based upon your needs. Thanks again. We look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great day.